insulation known as the myelin sheath. What happens if your myelin sheath starts to like wear out or disappear, or you have like problems? Yeah, you have like all sorts of crazy stuff going on too, right? Like a lot of neurological issues. You have things like MS and things like that, right? So not good to have. Okay. So those are my oligodendrocytes. It makes the myelin sheath. Next up, I have microglial cell. These guys are little teeny tiny ones. There's a micro, small, glial. Okay, so microglial cells. Okay, what you want to know with this little guy over here is, it says that it's a phagocyte, which means it does what? It eats stuff. So it cleans up the tissue. So it's like a big trash compactor eating up stuff, whatever. So we go with your like, just like cleanup. We'll put that one. So it cleans up the tissue. It's phagocytic. It likes to eat things. I'm not sure what they look like. Who cares? Least numerous don't care. Just know they eat things. Do cell cleanup. Or tissue cleanup, rather. And the last one are the ependymal cells. One too many there. Ependymal cells. Now, for sure, you're going to have to know like which cell falls into which category. Like I'm going to ask you, does the Schwann cell belong with the CNS? Does the microglial cell? It does, yeah. What does it do? Clean up, things like that. So my last one is the ependymal cells. Do here. Another cell type found in my nerve tissue. And the key with this little guy here is, what's it say? Line the central canal of the spinal cord, ventricles of the brain, cuboidal, cilia. It makes cerebral spinal fluid. That's the key. The stuff that your brain floats in, and the spinal cord is soaked with, it's cerebral spinal fluid. You write down like CSF, that works too, right? So cerebral spinal fluid. CSF.
Thank you.
Okay, so that stuff is produced in the ventricles of the brain. So we have these little cavities inside the brain that pump out cerebral spinal fluid for you. And we're going to hear about the rest of that. So, yeah. How pure is cerebral spinal fluid? Way pure, right? So your brain is floating in there. There's like really not much nasty stuff in there. Have you heard of like a spinal tap and things like that? Yeah. Spinal meningitis, whatever. They actually have to draw out some of your cerebral spinal fluid to test it to make sure you don't have like a bacterial infection or viral infection or something like that. So here's a multiple choice question. We'll do A, B, C, D. You probably know like your blood gets replaced on a certain time frame. Cerebral spinal fluid gets replaced on a certain time frame. Bones get replaced. Tissues are repaired. Cells regenerate. Blood vessels last along, whatever whole thing. So we'll put down here like how often do you get brand new cerebral spinal fluid circulating through your brain and spinal cord? We'll put on here like, I don't know, once a month, maybe. And we'll do once a week. And we'll do once a day, maybe. And we'll do 3 times a day. So how often do you get brand new cerebral spinal fluid?
D.
A, B, C, or D?
B.
D.
It's this one.
Depending on how dirty your brain is.
Yeah.
So every 8 hours you have brand new cerebral spinal fluid. So like the cerebral spinal fluid you have now, not the same one you had when you woke up this morning. So sort of cool, right? So every 8 hours, brand new CSF. So you can see how sterile the brain is, right? So it's like changing your oil every 8 hours, right? In the car. Like it's so crazy. But yeah, so every 8 hours, brand new CSF. All right, so that's all it for the CNS. So these are cells I'm going to find in my brain and my spinal cord and my brain stem, not anywhere else. Only in my brain and spinal cord, right? CNS tells me that. All right, so I have my PNS next. Over here. I only have 2 cell types I find in this tissue, in those named nerves, like sciatic nerve and crazy things like that. And my first one is the Schwann cell. And what's my Schwann cell do? Yeah, it says it forms the myelin sheath around those neurons in the PNS. So it does the same thing, right? It makes the myelin sheath. But this time it's in PNS. So it's not my brain, it's not my spinal cord, but it is my sciatic nerve, and it is my other named nerve. We're just going to put it over there. So it has the same function as those oligodendrocytes over there. Same function, different part of the body though, right? So same idea. Good for Schwann cells, myelin sheath, perfect. What about satellite cells? That's my second one. It's actually the last one too. It says similar in function to the astrocytes. Well, my astrocytes is a blood-brain barrier. It sort of does the same thing. It helps to regulate the environment, if you will. So we're down here like regulate environment. So that's what I got. Yeah, monitors and regulates the environment, similar to the astrocytes, has the blood-brain barrier, also does some other maintenance things for us too. So that is like a great thing to know as well, like the satellites are similar to the astrocytes. The Schwann cells are similar to the oligodendrocytes. They're like what they do, which category do they fall into? Those are the types of questions I'll probably ask for you. So easy here, right? So the PNS, they both start with S. That's how I do it. So PNS, they both start with an S. Schwanns are like the oligos and astros and satellites. Think about like you find a satellite from space and you have like asteroids too. That work for you? Yeah. Satellites, asteroids, I don't know, Schwanns, I don't know. I should figure it out. So, pretty good? Okay. Jumping right along. Easy stuff. Gray matter and white matter. So for us, we're going to make it like way simple, even though it's like really not 100% true what I tell you. So, you want that? Yeah. Okay. All right. So here's a couple little things how we're going to learn it. It's not like really 100% true. It works way good for like teaching you other things down the road. And it's pretty close to being true, so we're going to go with it. We're gonna okay. All right. So what I have here, here's my neuron, number 1. And here's neuron number 2. What do you guys think? Multipolar, unipolar, bipolar? Multi. Where are they found? Brain, spinal cord, motor or sensory? Motor. Good job, okay. All right, so remember that whole myelin sheath thing? Okay, that one's unmyelinated, which means the axon has no insulation on it, which is fine. And this one's going to be myelinated. So put the little myelin sheath on here. Look at the gap. Myelin sheath, gap. All right, so the thing is that myelin sheath, it's white. So my insulation on my wire is white. Okay, white. Unmyelinated, gray. Yeah. Okay, so see if you can figure this one out. Gray matter, white matter. Which one's myelinated? White. Which one's unmyelinated? Gray. So you sort of figure it out. So neurons that are myelinated have a white color to them. We call that white matter. Neurons that are unmyelinated or gray, we call that gray matter. It's like I'm saying, it's like not 100% true, but it's pretty darn close for us. All right, so it says white matter contains myelinated and some unmyelinated ones, but they're mostly myelinated, so I'm going with this. We're going to learn it that way, that myelinated goes with white, okay? Now my gray matter contains unmyelinated axons, cell bodies, dendrites, yada yada, whatever's there. So those are definitely just gray, unmyelinated. So the only problem was with this one that, yeah, there's a few that are unmyelinated, but the majority of them are myelinated. So to learn it that way, I think it's a little bit easier to do. So white, myelinated, white matter, gray, unmyelinated, gray matter. Okay. It talks about where I find this stuff. You guys heard of like gray matter in your brain and white matter in your brain, whatever? It's actually that color. It's actually gray and white. When we dissect the brain upstairs, it's gray and white, the little sheep brain. And it says here that it forms the butterfly-shaped portion of the spinal cord and the outer layer of your brain. So here's how it's going to look for us. So again, you know that your brain and your spinal cord is made up of nothing more than neurons and neuroglial cells, right? All sort of clumped together there to make up our tissue on that one. And so here's your brain, brainstem, spinal cord, sort of thing. Now if I cut the spinal cord here and look at it from top to bottom, sort of thing, it looks like this. Like that. And this, and this. So here's the front of the cord. It has a little bit of a groove in it. So that groove would go right down the front of the cord to here. Here's the back of the cord. Here's the center. And right smack in the middle. Here's a butterfly they're talking about. So if I were to like color this in, sort of thing, that's the butterfly-shaped portion of the spinal cord. It's like right smack in the middle of the cord. It's like having those cheese-filled hot dogs. Like if you chop it open, there's like cheese in the middle of it, or Tootsie Roll, or something like that maybe. Or so that contains gray or white. What do you guys think? Butterfly, gray. Yep, definitely. So I always draw it like this. So if I know that's right in the middle, my gray, And then it's surrounded by white matter, sort of thing. That's white. This is all white through here. I sort of draw it like this. I know I have like gray in the middle. I like cheating, just like sort of going like real fast. So gray, 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 gray coming up, and then it spills over to the top like a fountain. Like a fountain comes up and spills over. So I have gray on the outside of my brain, right? That outer layer of the brain, and on the inside of the spinal cord. So inside of the cord, outside of the brain. So I sort of look at it that way. So it's easier to memorize maybe for you. So inside of the cord, outside of the brain. That's called your cortex. The cerebral cortex. That's where you do most of your thinking in your gray matter. You do there. So it forms the butterfly-shaped portion of the spinal cord. Got it? And the outer layer of the brain. Got it? Called the cerebral cortex. That's always a question for you too. Okay. How are we looking? Pretty good? No one's like way lost, sort of thing? Maybe, I don't know. So again, better picture of your mind. No idea. Here's your butterfly-shaped inside the cord, surrounded by the white matter. It spills over. I have gray on the outside, white on the inside, sort of thing. Yeah. Okay, right? Okay. Chipping right along. All right, I learned earlier, or you guys learned earlier, hopefully, that, can I erase some of the stuff over here now, or? Yeah. We're good? Okay. Okay, so, we learned that neurons send signals. So neurons send signals. You might remember that whole thing of like wave summation, talking about a muscle contraction and how they had a twitch. So one twitch had another twitch and another twitch. We sort of did this whole thing here. And every time I had a new twitch, there was another signal that was sent to my muscle telling it to contract, sort of thing. All right, here's